With an illuvion, Corypheus could cross into the Fade in the flesh.
Indeed, the Inquisitor can attest that these artifacts still work, if one knows how to use them.
What happens when Corypheus enters the Fade?
Why, he will gain his heart's desire and take the power of a god. Or, and this is more likely, the lunatic will unleash forces that tear the world apart.
In Redcliffe, I saw the future Corypheus built. We can't let that happen.
It was always so, was it not? The madman would bury us all.
Pardon me, but does this mean everything's lost unless we get to the Illuvian before him?
Corypheus has a head start, no matter how quickly our army moves.
We should gather our allies before we march.
Can we wait for them? We should send our spies ahead to the Arbor Wilds.
Without support from the soldiers, you'd lose half of them.
Then what should we do?
For starters, we don't let Corypheus worry us to death. Imagine how embarrassing that would be. Josephine, have our allies send scouts to meet us in the wilds. Leliana, your fastest agents will join them. Together, we'll have enough spies to slow down Corypheus's army until Cullen's soldiers arrive.
Such confidence. But the Arbor Wilds are not so kind to visitors. Old elven magic lingers in those woods.
We'd be remiss to not take advantage of your knowledge, Lady Morrigan. Please, lend us your expertise.
'Tis why I came here, although it is good to see its value recognized.
Any further instructions, Inquisitor?
We've embarked on a quest that ends in facing the most powerful monster in all Thedas. Do get a good night's sleep.
As you wish.
We'll hound Corypheus in the wilds before he can find the temple or this illuvion.
Inquisitor,
How goes the battle, Captain?
we're holding, barely. The Red Templars are fighting harder than ever with their master nearby. Our scouts saw Corypheus traveling towards an elven ruin to the north. We can clear you a path through his armies.
Do only what you must. We need enough people for a celebration when we get back to Skyhold.
We will not fail you, my lady, no matter what comes. Andraste guide you, Inquisitor.
I wonder, is it Andraste your soldiers invoke during battle, or does a more immediate name come to their lips?
They show me respect, Morrigan. No one mistakes me for the Maker.
True. You are far more likely to come to their aid than a chantry fable. But I digress. If your scouts report accurately, I believe these ruins to be the Temple of Mithal.
Which is?
A place of worship out of elven legend. If Corypheus seeks it, then the Illuvian he covets lies within. Let us hope we reach this temple before the entire forest is reduced to ash.
Namelana Sabanale.
They still think to fight us, Master.
These are but remnants. They will not keep us from the Well of Sorrows.
Well of Sorrows.
Be honored. Witness death at the hands of a new god.
Cannot be!
Across the bridge, now!
At last, Mithal's sanctum. Let us proceed before Corypheus interferes.
Why's Lumpy after a sorrow well or whatever? Weren't we after some Ponzi mirror?
I am uncertain of what he referred to.
You're not certain? You said you knew what he was looking for.
Confidence can carry one only so far, it seems.
I suspected. I did not know. Yes, I was wrong. Does that please you? Whatever the Well of Sorrows might be, Corypheus seeks it, and thus you must keep it from his grasp.
Let's find this well before Corypheus's people do. I want to know how Corypheus returned to life. We saw him die.
And his life force passes on to any blighted creature, Darkspawn, or Grey Warden.
So how many times do we need to kill him? It's a small number, right?
Strike Corypheus down, and he will rise anew.
We'll find a way to stop him once we're done here.
'Tis strange. Archdemons possess the same ability, and still the Grey Wardens are able to slay them. Yet Corypheus they locked away. Perhaps they knew he could do this, but not how. Yes?
Are you certain Corypheus is using the power of the Blight to make himself immortal?
Perhaps you forget. I was in Ferelden during the Fifth Blight. I have seen a true Archdemon rage. How Corypheus gained the power to send his soul into blighted bodies, that is the real question.
Will answering that question let us destroy Corypheus for good?
Perhaps. I would suggest first dealing with the well. If Corypheus obtains it, any chance of success could be lost.
Do you know what this part of the temple was used for?
The room we stand in is a vestibule, not the temple proper. To those who knew it, perhaps this ritual was little more than a polite knock at the gate. These customs must have been as familiar to ancient elves as bowing to a queen is to you or I.
I find it difficult to picture you curtsying to anyone.
Have we become so familiar you can predict my manners and customs now? Nothing is lost by indulging in the occasional civilized conduct, particularly when unexpected.
You said this Mithal was worshipped as a goddess.
So one assumes. What is a god but a being of immense power? The dread old gods were nothing more than dragons, after all. They rise as archdemons, and they die. Perhaps Mithal was a powerful elf, a ruler among her kind. History often plays storyteller with facts.
You admit lack of knowledge, and yet dismiss her so readily?
I do not dismiss her. I question her supposed divinity. One need not be a god to have value. Truthfully, I'm uncertain Mithal was even a single entity. The accounts are varied.
There are varied accounts of Mithal.
In most stories, Mithal rights wrongs while exercising motherly kindness. Let fly your voice to Mithal, deliverer of justice, protector of sun and earth alike. Other paint her as dark, vengeful. Pray to Mithal and she would smite your enemies, leaving them in agony.
More Dalish tales, I assume.
If you know more about this, Solus, speak.
The oldest accounts say Mithal was both of these, and neither. She was the mother, protective and fierce. That is all I will say. This is not a place to stir up old stories.
Whatever the truth, all accounts of Mithal end the same. Exiled to the beyond with her brethren.
What do you mean, exiled?
Tricked by the Dread Wolf, as all the elven gods were said to be, trapped in a land beyond the Fade. Many Dalish believe this is why the elves fell from grace, and their gods did not save them. Or perhaps they were simply rulers slain by Tevinter. Who can say?
You've seen the elves here. They seem odd.
Indeed. Two things are possible. One, this is a group of Dalish separated from their brethren, cultists, fanatic in their desire to keep humans away. Two, these are elves descended from the ancients, having resided here since before the fall of Arlathan. The second appears unlikely, but if true, the implications are astounding.
Is that even possible? How?
With magic, anything is possible. Whatever the truth, the Guardians successfully kept the temple a secret. They must kill all who enter, even the Dalish. A more sensible question might be, why?
Let's continue.
As you wish. It appears the temple's magics are still strong.
Ancient Elven. I can't make out much.
Atishol vir Abalasan. It means enter the path of the Well of Sorrows.
There is something about knowledge, respectful or pure. Shiven. 'Tis all I can translate. That it mentions the well is a good omen.
We're out of luck unless one of those temple elves drops a lexicon.
Supplicants to Mithal would have first paid obeisance here. Following their path may aid entry.
Oh, no. This is bad. Rituals are bad. You can't want this.
If need be, unless you wish to turn back. Do not step any place you have stepped before. There can be no vacillation. This is where petitioners walked the path of their gods.
It is where they paid fealty to the gods. I have seen it, in the Fade. Only the reverent were permitted to touch this ground, and only in solemn contemplation.
Hold them off!
Come on, we might catch them.
Hold a moment. While they rush ahead, this leads to our true destination. We should walk the petitioner's path as before.
People are dying outside while we stand here. If we use the tunnel, more of our soldiers can flee.
In this case, I must agree with the witch. This is ancient ground, deserving of our respect.
You see the urgency? We cannot find the Well of Sorrows unprepared.
We don't know what's behind those doors. They might have a reason for going another way.
Had they the option, they would have proceeded. That must lead to their goal.
Their goal? Or yours?
There is a danger to the natural order. Legends walked Thedas once, things of might and wonder. Their passing has left us all the lesser. Corypheus would squander the ancient power of the well. I would have it restored.
I wasn't expecting your answer to be so romantic.
Trust me, your surprise is matched only by my own. Mankind blunders through the world, crushing what it does not understand. Elves, dragons, magic. The list is endless. We must stem the tide, or be left with nothing more than the mundane. This I know to be true. I read more in the first chamber than I revealed. It said a great boon is given to those who use the Well of Sorrows, but at a terrible price.
What exactly did that altar say about the Well of Sorrows?
Like most elven writing, it was insufferably vague. The term I deciphered was Halam Shivanas, the sweet sacrifice of duty. It implies the loss of something personal for duty's sake, yet for those who served at this temple, a worthwhile trade.
Did you not trust me enough to tell me about this price when you read it?
I hoped to find more information. If I intended to cheat you, I would have feigned ignorance entirely. My priority is your cause, but if the opportunity arises to save this well, I am willing to pay the cost.
And gain what?
That is what we must discover. The rituals may point the way. Yes?
I want to discuss the well again.
Oh, I see. An opportunity to use the well may not even arise. I understand this. All I meant to suggest is that, if it does, I be the one to do so. I am willing to accept the consequences.
You would pay the price for this, and you don't even know yet what it does.
We know Corypheus seeks the well and believes it valuable. We also know it to be guarded jealously, the last remnant of a culture thought dead and gone. So yes, I would take my chances, if you permit it.
You said you want to preserve old powers. To what end? What will you do with them?
There is a struggle to control the world's future path. Can you not see it? History haunts us, Inquisitor. It seeks to resurface. Corypheus is but the first to arise. For all the evil that was, there is also good. I will fight for it. I must.
How do you know the Well of Sorrows isn't a source of evil? After all, Corypheus seeks it.
A fair point. We cannot know for certain. Yet.
What if something happens to you? What about your son?
Kieran is a strong lad. He will thrive, with or without me.
Are you sure of that?
I am sure of precious little these days. Yes?
More rituals. What are they for, do you know?
I believe they signify an intent to lay oneself bare, to champion a cause without pity, regret, or shame. Mithal's cult was not fond of vacillation. one approached them with nothing less than complete confidence.
What happened to those who were less sure of themselves?
Legend does not say. Perhaps this place has a more gruesome history than we know.
Do you know what this part of the temple was used for?
It may have served as a chamber of reflection, perhaps to contemplate the righteousness of one's cause. More importantly, I suspect none were permitted beyond this area without a priest. Ancient texts claim Mithal passed judgment in the flesh, but 'twas surely the priests who proclaimed rulings here.
Why did the ancient elves insist on so many rites?
We may safely assume one did not petition high priests for Mithal's justice by strolling up and knocking. I see no more insufferable ceremony here than in a chantry.
Let's continue.
As you... 'Tis not what I expected. What was this chamber used for?
We're being watched.
Vernavis. You are unlike the other invaders. You have the features of those who call themselves Elven. You bear the mark of magic, which is familiar. How has this come to pass? What is your connection to those who first disturbed our slumber?
They are my enemies, as well as yours.
I am called Abelas. We are sentinels, tasked with standing against those who trespass on sacred ground. We wake only to fight, to preserve this place. Our numbers diminish with each invasion. I know what you seek. Like all who have come before you, you wish to drink from the Vira Belasan.
The place of the Way of Sorrows. He speaks of the well.
It is not for you. It is not for any of you.
So, you're elves from ancient times, before the Tevinter Imperium destroyed Arlathan.
The Shemlin did not destroy Arlathan. We Elven warred upon ourselves. By the time the doors to this sanctuary closed, our time was over. We awaken only when called, and each time find the world more foreign than before. It is meaningless. We endure. The Vira Belasan must be preserved.
What is this Vira Belasan exactly?
It is a path, one walked only by those who toiled in Mithal's favor.
He speaks of priests, perhaps.
More than that, you need not know.
Solus, perhaps he'll listen to you.
What shall I say, Inquisitor? Shall I sway him from a millennia of service by virtue of our shared blood? He clings to all that remains of his world, because he lacks the power to restore it.
Our people have lost everything. They need you. They could learn from you.
Our people? The ones we see in the forest, shadows wearing Valisleen. You are not my people. And you have invaded our sanctum as readily as the Shemlin.
We knew this place was sacred. We've respected it as best we could.
I believe you. Trespassers you are, but you have followed rites of petition. You have shown respect to Mithal. If these others are enemies of yours, we will aid you in destroying them. When this is done, you shall be permitted to depart. And never return.
This is our goal, is it not? There is no reason to fight these sentinels.
Consider carefully. You must stop Corypheus, yes, but you may also need the well for your own.
I accept your offer.
You will be guided to those you seek. As for the Vira Belasan, it shall not be despoiled. Even if I must destroy it myself.
No!
Morrigan!
You tough bastard. A day's march, hours of fighting, and still fierce as dragons. The Chantry never knew what it was throwing away.
Samson, sir, watch out!
Inquisitor. You and those elf things don't know when to stop. You've hunted us half across Thedas. I should have guessed you'd follow us into this hole.
I spoke with your Tranquil, Maddox. He sacrificed himself for your cause.
I told him not to. He died as one of us then. One of the faithful. Corypheus chose me twice. First as his general, now as the vessel for the Well of Sorrows. You know what's inside the well? Wisdom. The kind of wisdom that can scour a world. I give it to Corypheus, that he can walk into the Fade without your precious anchor.
What's your part in it? What's a vessel?
What else empties a well? I'll carry its power to Corypheus. One more task entrusted to me. Being force-fed Chantry lyrium was good for something. This armor makes me a living fortress, mind and body. I won't forget a word of the well's knowledge. Corypheus will be unstoppable.
Once Corypheus is that powerful, you and your soldiers will just slow him down.
You dare say that to my face, after you butchered my men? You're no match for Corypheus. Even if you drink from the well, you'll never master its wisdom as he could. This is the strength that Chantry tried to bind. But it's a new world now, with a new god. So, Inquisitor, how will this go?
Power's all well and good, until it's taken away.
What did you do? What did you do? My armor. It's gone. The lyrium. I need it! Kill them all! Well, French. You can't take it from Corypheus. You mustn't.
He's not ready to go yet.
We can take him back to Skyhold for judgment.
You heard his parting words, Inquisitor. The elf seeks to destroy the Well of Sorrows.
So the Sanctum is despoiled at last.
You would have destroyed the well yourself, given the chance.
To keep it from your grasping fingers. Better it be lost than bestowed upon the undeserving.
Fool. You'd let your people's legacy rot in the shadows.
Samson thought the well's knowledge was valuable. It could help stop Corypheus.
I care nothing for your petty conflicts, Shemlin.
You'll care when Corypheus arrives for the well.
The well clearly offers power, Inquisitor. If that power can be turned against Corypheus, can you afford not to use it?
Do you even know what you ask? As each servant of Mithal reached the end of their years, they would pass their knowledge on through this. All that we were, all that we knew, it would be lost forever.
It's better that knowledge remain in the well, never passed on. You'd rather destroy it.
There are other places, friend, other duties. Your people yet linger.
Elven such as you?
Yes, such as I.
You have shown respect to Mithal, and there is a righteousness in you I cannot deny. Is that your desire? To partake of the Vira Belasan as best you can? To fight your enemy?
Gifts like this don't come freely.
No boon of Mithal was ever granted without cost. The Vira Belasan may be too much for a mortal to comprehend. Brave it if you must. But know you this. You shall be bound forever to the will of Mithal.
Bound to a goddess who no longer exists, if she ever did.
Bound as we are bound. The choice is yours.
Is it possible this Mithal might still exist?
Anything is possible.
Elven legend states that Mithal was tricked by Fen-Harel and banished to the Beyond.
Elven legend is wrong. The Dread Wolf had nothing to do with her murder.
Murder? I said nothing of...
She was slain, if a god truly can be. Betrayed by those who destroyed this temple. Yet the Virabala-san remains. As do we. That is something.
Are you leaving the temple?
Our duty ends. Why remain?
There is a place for you, Lethaline, if you seek it.
Perhaps there are places the Shemlin have not touched. It may be that only Uthenra awaits us. The blissful sleep of eternity, never to awaken, if fate is kind.
You can walk away from the temple? Just like that?
After you drink, nothing remains to hold us.
Malas amalin nahalam abalas. His name, Abalas, means sorrow. I said, I hoped he finds a new name.
You'll note the intact Illuvian. I was correct on that count, at least.
Is it still a threat? Can Corypheus use it to travel the Fade?
You recall when I took you through my Illuvian, I said each required a key? The well is the key. Take its power, and Mithal's last Illuvian will be no more use to Corypheus than glass. I did not expect the well to feel so... hungry.
Seems like that should be a concern.
Knowledge begets a hunger for more. I am willing to pay the price the well demands. I am also the best suited to use its knowledge in your service.
Or more likely to your own ends?
What would you know of my ends, elf?
You are a glutton drooling at the sight of a feast. You cannot be trusted.
Of those present, I alone have the training to make use of this. Let me drink, Inquisitor.
You alone? This is my heritage.
I have studied the oldest lore. I have delved into mysteries of which you could only dream. Can you honestly tell me there is anyone better suited?
What about you, Solus?
No. Do not ask me again.
I would be.
You lead the Inquisition. This is not a risk you can take. I have the best chance of making use of the well. For everyone. Let me drink.
You're not concerned about the price? Bound forever to the will of Mithal?
Bound to the will of a dead god? It seems an empty warning. Perhaps a compulsion yet remains. Who can say otherwise? I do not fear it, even so.
Are you sure you want this, Morrigan? We don't know what will happen.
We do not, and yet it must be done. I am ready.
Looking at it, listening to it. That's not just knowledge from the ancient elven priests. It's their will.
How would you know such a thing?
That's what Abalas was telling us. The collective will of the priests puts anyone who drinks under a compulsion, a gas. Can't you feel it?
That would match the legends, but it does not tell us what the gas entails. I would still use the well, but you are right. We must be cautious.
Thoughts?
She is right about only one thing. We should take the power which lies in that well.
It's called the Well of Sorrows. Sorrows? No one should go in the Well of Sorrows.
So many voices. They would be in your head, talking over you. You don't want them.
Enough deliberation. Give me your decision.
If anyone is to use the well, it will be me.
So you will take what little knowledge you can understand and let the rest go to waste?
And who's to say it will go to waste?
I do. Perhaps it is better this way. Do as you will with the Well of Sorrows, Inquisitor. But be careful.
Why am I here? Corypheus, a Magister wishes to rip the veil open. I must learn how to stop him. I can't understand what you're... Look, will you help me or not?
Inquisitor! Inquisitor!
It is done.
I'm pleased to report we won the battle, Inquisitor. When you went through that mirror, Corypheus and his archdemon fled the field. I'm not sure why.
What he wanted was no longer within the temple.
Perhaps. He spent so long trying to get into the temple, he probably couldn't have helped his forces by that point.
Then Corypheus is finished.
If he is wise, he will hide and rebuild his strength before he attacks again.
He will not. He won't hide.
You hear it. The well speaks to you.
It's voices, whispering from so far away I can barely hear them.
If only one who understood such voices had used the well's power instead.
Then we'd have to rely on her interpretation of them, and whatever she chose to tell us.
Have I not been forthcoming enough for you, Spy Master? I told you what the well could have done, Inquisitor. You should be hearing shouts from the heavens, not whispers.
Then help me. Isn't that what you came here to do?
Earlier you said you knew what needed to be done next. What did you mean?
The dragon isn't an archdemon. It's a dragon in which Corypheus has invested part of his power. Kill it, and his ability to jump to other bodies is disrupted for a time. He can be killed.
That's no simple task. Corypheus alone is powerful, but with his dragon...
There is a way, but I'll need Morrigan's help.
The voices from the well tell you that, do they? Very well, Inquisitor. Speak to me when you are ready to begin this plan of yours.
Are you certain of this?
I don't think certain is the right word.
I'll see to Skyhold's defenses in the meantime.